All right, folks, we are live. We're about to jump in here. I'm adding in our friends over on Facebook and on Twitter, and then we'll get going. Just give me 2 seconds. We got the Falcons Podcast. All right, we are all set. What's up, everybody? My name is Garrett Chapman, and this is the Falcons Podcast on a Victory Tuesday. It's crazy. What we just saw last night is just fantastic. I mean, that was the best football game that this team has played. I would say, without question, the best football game that this team has played. Falcons win 24-14, belt to ass. That's really the biggest reaction from this game. We're going to get into a lot of my takeaways here from this game. I'm going to get into some injury discussions, just kind of see where people stand. But really, it's going to be reacting to what we just watched last night. And I'll take your comments. I'll take your questions. Anything you got, drop them into the chat. Give me a follow at GChapATL on Twitter. Make sure to like and subscribe on the podcast. Make sure to share it with your friends. Make sure to get them in here, and we can talk all things Atlanta Falcons. But it's a Victory Tuesday. It's a Victory Tuesday. And I do want to dig all the way into some of these reactions. But Michael Ronquillo, what's up, my man? Welcome in. Welcome in. Dantes Jackson, I see you in here as well. Michael, you come in here with a comment. Bijan Robinson is a beast running back. Beast. And if you take out that A, he's the best running back. Let's start right there here with the Falcons podcast and our takeaways from the Falcons 24-14 win that honestly felt like it was much bigger than that. Could have been a lot bigger than that. Hell, could have been, what was it? Maybe 28 or I think 28-7. I think there was a very realistic chance that was going to be your score going into halftime. I mean, this is as dominating a football game as I've seen them play. And it could have been a lot worse because the Falcons left points on the board. They left points on the board, and the Bills never really got anything going. Now, they actually ran the ball pretty well. But they just took the ball out of James Cook's hands, mostly because they needed to get some points in a hurry. They wanted Josh Allen to go out there and win that football game for them. But, Michael, you mentioned that he's a beast running back. Bijan Robinson, I will say, is the best player in the NFL. I think last night was the first chance that a lot of people had to really get an eyes-on look at what Bijan Robinson is, especially this season. 238 scrimmage yards. 238 yards from scrimmage. 81 of which came on a sprint down that right sideline for a touchdown. That's the longest of his career, but that's also his third explosive play. Big, like 50-plus yard play this season. The guy has found that extra gear. We talked all training camp about how the biggest thing that he needs to develop is that explosivity. Here you go. He averaged 9.52 yards per touch. He basically was averaging a first down every time he touched the football. What more can you say? What more is there to say? I mean, he is the offensive player of the year right now through the first 5 games of the season, 6 weeks of the NFL season. He is the offensive player of the year. Hell, you might actually say he's an MVP. I don't think he's going to get to that level just because Baker Mayfield and guys like that, it's a quarterback award for the MVP. I don't think he's going to have much of a shot. Now, if the Falcons go on this incredible winning streak and he does the things that, say Saquon Barkley did last year, he'll get in that conversation, but he is hands down the offensive player of the year. I mean, he's recorded 100-plus yards from scrimmage in all 5 games this season. Hell, he did it in the first half against the Bills in this one. Mind you, that's tied for the most in franchise history, his 5 games this season. And he did it in the first 5. It's 5 in a row. It's incredible what he's been able to do. 822 yards from scrimmage. That's 42 more yards than anybody else in the NFL. And everyone's like, oh, it's just 42 yards. I mean, that's really impressive. He did it in a fewer game. He's played a fewer game than anybody else has. Raheem Morris said he's the league's best player. And I think a lot of people, even in the room, were a little surprised and taken aback when Raheem Morris said it. Now, I don't think there's much debating it. I don't think there's much of a conversation. Who else is it offensively? What offensive player is better than Bijan Robinson? Honestly, it's not Saquon. That's not Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not Derrick Henry. They're really, really good players. Bijan Robinson's better. He just is. I mean, I'd say maybe you could throw in Puka Nacua, but Puka Nacua doesn't. Most of Puka's yards come through the air. A running back who's able to do that, what he does, he touches every facet of the game. Every single facet of the game, Bijan Robinson has a major impact. He's an elite pass blocker. He's an elite pass catcher, and he's an elite runner. He does everything. He literally does everything. And honest to goodness, if this is a guy who, help get him back in the backfield or back in kickoff return or whatever, just let him touch the ball as much as possible. He's just incredible what he's been able to do. But let's jump in here. I see a lot of people coming in, getting some questions here. I see Trenton. Hey, chap, just wanted to hear some real X's and O's. Glad to have you. Trenton, good to have you. Welcome in. I see Bucks Race Bolts is in, our friend from Tampa. What's up, my man? What's up? Welcome in. I had to laugh too. A first down every touch. Literally was every single time he touched the football. Every single time Bijan Robinson touched the ball, he basically was going for a first down. The guy was incredible. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do. 25 touches, 238 yards. It's unbelievable what he was able to do in this game. And that's not a slouch of an opponent either. And he was a highlight. He wasn't even the only highlight. Look, this was the most complete football game that the Falcons have played. Michael Rukilo says running back Bijan Robinson is in the hunt for the NFC Offensive Player of the Year award. I'd actually say he's the front runner. In the hunt, I'd say is like a 6th, 7th place team or a person or whatever, is like someone a little bit down the odds. I don't see how you give it to anybody else. Based off of what we've seen from him, I don't see how you can. Because you look at what he has through the air. He's 3rd in the league in rushing yards. He's also 9th in the NFL in receiving yards. Mind you, he's a running back. He's 2nd among running backs, only behind, I believe, Christian McCaffrey is number 1 in terms of receiving. Christian McCaffrey's also played 6 games. Bijan Robinson is the Offensive Player of the Year. He's by far the front runner. I don't think it's really up for debate. We'll see. But again, you've only played 5 games. You still have a long way to go. Long way to go before you win any awards or anything else like that. Trent says, do you decide the questions you ask before the game starts or depends on how the game goes? Just in general, are you talking about Raheem Morris, like questions that we ask the coaching staff or anything like that? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about here. And if not, drop another comment and let me know. But it depends on how the game goes. Sometimes there are things that you come into a game and you're expecting to ask about it. So it's like, say, Zach Robinson moving from the press box, not press box, but he's up in the coach's box down to the sideline. We'll ask about that. We'll see how that was going to go, like what were his reactions from it, stuff like that. And that a lot of that's just preparation and doing your job and coming in prepared and knowing what questions to ask. But a lot of it too, say in this game in particular, Jake Matthews gets hurt. We would never have known that had we not watched the game. So you have to follow in and do everything else. So it's a little bit of both to answer your question, Trent. And I'm assuming I'm answering your question properly. And I hope I am. Master Kioski, excuse me. Yes, don't forget, we still number 1 on defense. And that's actually my second takeaway here of this game. Because Master Kioski, excuse me. I can't pronounce your name properly. I apologize. The Falcons defense showed it's legit. They showed what they're capable of doing. And it's not that they hadn't before. It's the type of opponent on the stage. I mean, it was as dominant a performance as anything we've seen from them this season. And I'm including that performance that they had on Sunday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. You still had that kind of conversation about, oh, it's J.J. McCarthy. He's making his second start. Just not very good, blah, 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 whatever. You can't say that. I understand the Bills had some injuries. I understand that they were a little banged up on the outside at wide receiver and a pass catcher. They didn't have Dalton Kincaid. He's their leading receiver. Josh Palmer goes down with an injury in this game. But Josh Allen still plays quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. James Cook is still in that backfield. And when we talked about this team coming into this game, that's where the conversation started. And that's where the conversation really ended. When you have an MVP in that backfield and you line him up next to a really, really dynamic running back who can do a whole bunch of things, that's going to be the thing that you have to stop in this game. And all the Falcons defense did is force 3 and outs on 5 of 11 drives. When it got down to the money time, like in the fourth quarter, they forced 3 and outs on 2 of the 3 fourth quarter drives for the Bills. I mean, you go through the drive progression. First half goes touchdown. Oh no, oh my God. They said they just walked down the field. Punt, interception. That was the first half. 4 consecutive punts. A lot of those were 3 and outs too. The interception, I mean, set you up and you actually had a chance to go kick a field goal, and Drake London missed out on a touchdown by that much. And I love that he actually went for the end zone because touchdowns were going to win that game. But then you come back in the second half and you say, okay, well, let's see how Josh Allen responds. He comes down, he walks down the field and they score a touchdown. Okay, we got a game. Not so fast, my friend. Down. They turn over on downs. Punt, interception. That's the game. That's the game. And when you're playing a team as talented as Josh Allen and this Bills team, I mean, injuries suck, and injuries are a part of the game. Injuries also impacted the Atlanta Falcons in this one too. The Falcons, I mean, they're down both of their starting tackles. They're playing their 4th and 5th tackles, actually. I mean, you don't have Darnell Mooney. You don't have Ray McLeod, who was a healthy scratch in this game, which is also very interesting. But the defense sacks Josh Allen 4 times. They hit him 6 times. They get double-digit pressures. You pick him off twice. You knock the ball. You force 2 fumbles in this game. Falcons overmatched the Bills. And it has nothing to do with the wide receivers. It has everything to do with the fact that that offensive line was blitzed 19 times, and they were getting pressure. 4 different Falcons had sacks. Jalen Walker, he shined in this game. He didn't show up as much on the stat sheet, but he did have a couple pressures in this game. He led the team in pressures. And the thing is, you could talk about, oh, they've only played the Panthers and they've only played the Vikings or whatever. Can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore because the Vikings are looking like a legitimate bona fide contender in the NFC to make the playoffs. I mean, the Buccaneers look like the best team in the NFC right now. You were within a possession of beating that team. I mean, the Panthers game was a complete and total anomaly at this point because that team is unrecognizable. Feels like forever ago that they were in Carolina doing whatever the hell that was, which is still inexplicable. I don't understand what really happened in that game. I still don't. I went back and watched it. I don't know what happened. But what we've seen from them since is a bona fide contender to make the postseason on this Falcons team. And I'd say Bijan Robinson is an offensive player of the year, but it starts with what you saw on the defense. Because the Falcons have not allowed a 100-yard rusher, they've not allowed a 100-yard receiver, and they haven't allowed a 200-yard passer. And they played a guy who's the reigning MVP and a guy who's the front runner win the MVP. I mean, that's what you need to know. This is a Falcons team who knows who they are, and they're leaning into it. And we've seen it from the defense all season. It's just you needed to see more from the offense. You have the 34-point barrage against the Commanders before the bye week. Then you go into the bye week and you come out and you put belt to ass against one of the best teams in the NFL. This defense shuts down the 3rd best offense in the NFL. They're scoring 30 points per game. They barely squeak out the 14. And both of those came in scripted first possessions. Scripted first possessions. They come out of the gate, they score the touchdown. They come out of the halftime locker room, they score the touchdown. Every other possession ended on a punt, an interception, or a turnover on downs. That is belt to ass. And the thing is, the offense, you miss some opportunities. And that's where I get into my first big concern from this. I am still concerned about the kicking game. I am concerned about Parker Romo and the faith that they have in Parker Romo to convert kicks. The kick that was blocked in the 4th quarter, I don't think it had a chance, even if it wasn't blocked. That is not a professional kicker kick, what we saw from that one. He does connect on one later in the game to kind of push the game out of reach, but I do wonder if Ben Sauls is going to get a look this week. I wonder if the Falcons could potentially make a trade or something. I know who is it? Prater is the kicker for the Buffalo Bills. Once Tyler Bass comes back, maybe the Falcons can send a 7th round pick or something like that, and you can get Prater here and he can figure something out because the kicking game is a serious concern. I don't have a lot of faith in what Parker Romo is doing right now. And ultimately, I think that converted to some of the mindset of the Falcons in going for it. They were very aggressive at times. They went for it on 4th down in a situation where I don't think you necessarily needed to go for it. Because if you're comfortable with your kicker kicking a 45-yard field goal, 50-yard field goal, something like that, you're in a dome. You're at home. You should be able to make that kind of kick. And I think it's a little bit indicative of Raheem Morris's confidence in Parker Romo or the lack thereof. I just think there's not a lot there. All right, let's jump back into your comments. I see a whole bunch of people have jumped into the podcast. We got 70 people watching across all platforms. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Garrett Chapman. This is the Falcons Podcast. We break down every game that we play this season, but we do it every Tuesday and we do it every Thursday at 6 o'clock. So make sure to set a calendar reminder. Make sure you're coming in and jumping in here with us. So we're going to break down our San Francisco 49ers, our Sunday Night Football showdown that we got coming up next week. We'll do that on Thursday. So make sure you're here for that as well. But if you have any questions, any comments, anything else, what are your reactions from the game? Drop them in the comments and we'll get to them as I see them. Of course, if you have a super comment or something on YouTube, will always go to that one first. I see Rashad Hightower hits me with a rise up, my man. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. James, good point here. NFC South turning it up a notch. Yeah, they definitely are. And I think that there's this weird notion that the NFC South doesn't play a winning brand of football. Don't know what they're watching. I know what they're watching, and it's not the NFC South, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a really damn good football team. Falcons are a really damn good football team. And the Carolina Panthers have shown that they are a pretty solid football team. We won't talk about the Saints, but they've been competitive in every game they've played, right? A lot of people expected that team to be the bottom feeders in the NFL. And they're losing games, right? Don't get me wrong. They're losing a lot of football games. But they've looked competitive. And the NFC South is a competitive division. And I mean, I think that the NFC South gets a weird amount of flack, and they're kind of treated like the AFC South, because the AFC South hasn't really done anything at any point, really. I mean, for the last 20 years, 25 years, really. And then you look at, outside maybe Peyton Manning and the Colts, but it's like outside of that, when he was just whipping up on that division, they haven't really done a whole lot, right? The NFC South, last 25 years, you've had all four teams have played in at least one Super Bowl. I mean, if you go back 30 years, everybody but the Saints have played in two. You know, and the Saints won one. The Bucs have won two in that time. They've been to what, 4, something like that. The Panthers have been to two. It's just the NFC South gets a lot of flack. They get a lot of flack for weird reasons. But no, this year, I mean, all you can do is react to what we're doing this year. And the NFC South is playing a very good brand of football. They really are. I mean, everybody put in good performances across the NFC South this weekend, to the detriment of the Falcons, naturally. But the Buccaneers look like they might actually be the best team in the NFC, maybe even the best team in the NFL, just based off of how they are. Trent, I see you got another comment here. He says, I was impressed with the D because that was our base defensive look. That's who we are. I don't think we even played our best game on defense. Our average D is a top 3 defense. Well, statistically, they're the number 1 defense. And actually, the EPA per play, if you want to look at advanced metrics, their EPA per play is 6th, I believe, in the NFL, which says Falcons are basically playing to the brand of football, right? So the advanced numbers are agreeing with what the defense is putting out on the field. They're not allowing a whole bunch of points. They're doing pretty well in that regard. But yardage-wise, they're just not allowing a whole lot of anything. They're getting good pressure on the quarterback. In this game, they actually got Josh Allen on the ground 4 times. That was a big difference maker in this game. And that pressure is a big reason why he fumbled the ball twice and you had 2 interceptions. You got good pressure. You sent well-timed blitzes, and you looked pretty good. But on the flip side, and I see August 809, he says, Jeff Ulbrich he deserves a lot of credit for this defense. They play well as a unit. They really do. And I would say that they do it at every level, every stage. The defensive line has been tremendous. And the defensive line played a really good game in this one. And that's one of the reasons why the blitz worked so well. In the past, the Falcons were sending a lot of blitzes, but because they had to. They had no ability to rush with 4 men, right? If their 4-man blitzes were terrible. And their 5-man blitzes, honest to God, were worse because they're what? Comparing it, so if the Falcons sent an extra man, I can't remember what the exact number is, so forgive me there, but they were ranked like 25th in the NFL among 14 teams who send 4 men when they were sending 5. They weren't getting any pressure. And one of the biggest difference makers in this is the fact that the defensive line has found its gear. The defensive line is playing a really good brand of football right now. And it's opening things up for a Divine Diablo or a D. Alford who's blitzing from the nickel position. He gets a sack in this one. Caden Ellis is able to get back there and create some pressures. And it all starts with that defensive line and what they've been able to do. But Jeff Ulbrich, what he's been able to do with this unit and changing up that mentality and getting him into that attack style has been tremendous. It's been wonderful to see from this defense. And really, one of the most important factors in that is the reason that what we saw in this game, really the last two games, the offense starts clicking. And when you have an offense that's playing a really good brand of football and they're actually putting some points on the board and putting some pressure on the opponent and making them feel like they have to keep up with you, that's where the attack-minded defense that Jeff Ulbrich wants to run here, that's where it starts to shine. That's where you're able to pin your ears back and get after the passer. It's why they had to abandon the running game in this one. It helps a whole lot when you have an offense that's playing some good complementary football. And this was probably the first time that we've seen the offense play a strong complementary brand of football. This was the most impressive game that we've seen from them thus far against that opponent. It's huge on that stage, no less. Michael Ronquillo says, I said, if you contain James Cook, you will win this game. I said it too. That was one of our biggest three keys in this game is keeping a lid on the rushing attack for the Bills. You held them under 100 yards, and that was huge. In general, I mean, I think you held the Bills to 130-ish yards, I would say. Pretty good, especially considering the fact that is a team who really, really excels at running the football, even with a quarterback. And you take away, I mean, hell, Josh Allen had a 40-yard, 35-yard run with the Falcons playing that soft coverage look, where he just runs straight up the middle of the field and then like an L and runs straight out of bounds. That accounts for a large chunk of their yardage as well. So, and then you pick them off on the next play, so it didn't really matter anyway. But ultimately, your rush defense was very effective, and I said that was going to be a big thing for them in this game as well. So, Michael, good shout, good call. Let's keep on rolling through. Trenton says, haven't got to see him on film specifically, but on TV, he's literally not giving up his side going back to the last week. 2 weeks in a row, teams can't get around him. I'm not sure who you're talking about here. Let me know in the comments, Trenton. I just see him. I'm assuming maybe somebody on the defensive line or I'm not sure. Trenton says, anything on why Kobe didn't dress? Were there the first reports false that he was activated? So I saw something about this. Kobe Bryant apparently was commenting on posting things online that he was going to be the guy getting a call up, and then he didn't get the call up. It wasn't the standard practice squad elevation. It was Keith Taylor, I believe. And no, I didn't ask about it. I haven't heard about it. I don't know that they keep that in-house. But supposedly, from what I've seen online, the coaching staff wasn't pleased with Kobe and that he made a post about it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how verifiable that is. I have not heard that personally. I don't know if that's the case. And even if we asked Raheem, he wouldn't tell us anyway. That's a question that he would just say, well, we made the decision that we made. He's not going to tell us. That's going to be a coaching decision. Just like we asked when Ray McLeod went down, or why didn't Ray McLeod play in this game? He just said it was a coach's decision. That's all he's going to say. And that's what he would say about Keith Taylor as well. And Kobe Bryant specifically. Keep on rolling through. Trenton says, I think not kicking affected the morale leading to the kick. Maybe. I think there's a decent chance, Trenton, that maybe that had something to do with it. I don't necessarily think it did. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but kickers are expected to make their kicks, period, end of story. And the kick was terrible. Like, that kick was awful. Parker Romo, I mean, they've got Ben Sauls there for a reason. That's why they have him still in the practice squad, and Lenny Krieg is there as well. I don't think Lenny Krieg's really going to get much of a look. He had his opportunity during the summer. He's just not a guy who's going to be making kicks for you, but Ben Sauls could. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be something that they publicize, but I'm going to ask about it coming up when we get the Marquise Williams. I'll see kind of what their mindset is on that one, but we shall see. Yes. I'm going to jump back into some more of our takeaways here. If you have any questions or maybe some of your takeaways, make sure to drop those in the comments. And thank you so much for joining us. I see we've got 75 people across all platforms, and I'm thrilled that all of you guys are jumping in here, just reacting to everything that we saw from the Falcons in a 24-14 win over the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, getting in through some of my takeaways, and then we'll discuss some of the injury concerns that we have here with this team. I might just mix it in just in general. But so far, we have the fact that Bijan Robinson is the best player in the NFL, offensive player for sure. He's been tremendous. The Falcons defense proves it's legit on the big stage against the big opponent. I'm still concerned about this kicking game. And then the next big thing, second half offense. I think that was not all roses. As good as it was in the first half, it was not as good in the second half. It was not, I wouldn't say it's that bad. It just wasn't anywhere close to what we saw in the first half. And in the first half, you left points on the board. You left several points on the board in the first half, whether it's kicking or I mean, look, you have the Drake London situation where I'm glad he went for the touchdown, but it does cost you. You go from which should be a sure thing for 3 points to 7 points, all the way back down to 0 points going into the locker room, but can't fault him for it. You really can't fault him for it. But ultimately, your efficiency, it was lacking there in the second half compared to what you saw in the first half. First half, you go 5 for 7 on third downs, and that's how you start, and then you finish 0 for 5, right? You see that precipitous drop off just in cum, right? Just in terms of yardage and everything else. You have 108 yards in the second half after having 335 in the first half. It helps when you have a Bijan Robinson who's going off for 81-yard carries and everything, but I mean, this is also a spot where, I mean, all of your yards in the second half came on just one drive, basically. It was a huge drive. It was a gotta-have-it drive, and it's something that we've seen several times from Michael Penix in his career. 14 plays, 68 yards. Drive took 5 minutes of time off the clock, and it was only 5 minutes because you burned all 3 of the Bills' timeouts once you got to the 2-minute warning, under the 2-minute warning. The field goal that you kicked there extends the lead to 10 and basically puts this game out of reach. But that's just Michael Penix. That's who Michael Penix is. And no matter what he's doing necessarily in any moment, it always seems like he can elevate in those types of situations, right? You have the one brutal game, of course, that you played against the Carolina Panthers, but you saw it against the Vikings on a day that they really weren't playing a very efficient brand of football. They were running the ball really well in that game, but nothing else was really working all that well on offense. When they had the gotta-have-it drive late in that game, they pushed the ball all the way down the field, and they scored a touchdown, put the game out of reach, and basically get into that situation where just the Vikings aren't going to be able to come back. You saw that again here in this game. You saw that against the Washington Commanders. You've seen some of that mentality here from Michael Penix, but that doesn't change the fact that the second half offense was largely non-existent. You know, Penix was shaky at times in the second half, and I'd say it had a lot more to do with the fact that Buffalo keys in on Drake London and Bijan Robinson. And it kind of gets you into that thought process of what happens if you play elite defense, which the Bills are a fine defense, but they have some pretty sizable holes defensively. When you play an elite defense and they take away a Bijan Robinson or they take away a Drake London, they say, beat me some other way. What is the Falcons' answer? Where do they go? Because Michael is very talented. I think Michael Penix is very good. But Michael Penix is still a guy who's made 10 starts in his career, however many. And young players in the NFL get exploited still. Doesn't matter how good they are necessarily, they're still going to get exploited. And until Michael is consistently able to show that he can elevate and match that, people are going to key up on him and try to take away the top weapon. Now, Falcons got everything they wanted in the first half of this game, but the second half was a different story. It was. And it's something that you have to keep in mind because I talked about the advanced numbers, talking about the defense and everything. They're 6th in EPA per play. They're 22nd or so in EPA per play on offense. Tells me that you're maybe overperforming based off of what the advanced numbers are saying. Your total yards, your big plays. I think you're just getting big moments from your big plays from your star players. But it also says that there might be a little bit of a regression coming. Maybe we're going to see the Falcons drop off a little bit on offense specifically. That's where Zach Robinson needs to key up some other things, right? I mean, like that wide zone works really, really effectively. Bijan Robinson, I mean, hell, the guy's really good at it. It's because your guards are so effective in run blocking. But you basically just turn around and hand the ball off and that wide zone, and it works. And as long as it's working, great. But there's no variation. The creativity doesn't always feel like it's there. And it does early in a game. But if it doesn't work, I want to see the way that you're able to flip around and reset, right? In the second half of this game, you didn't really see that at a high level, But again, I think a lot of this also has to do with the fact that you lose Jake Matthews at the very end of the first half. And Michael Jarrell, God bless him, is not Jake Matthews. There aren't a lot of Jake Matthews just in the NFL in general. It's a guy who's made, 183 consecutive starts. It's the longest streak in franchise history. It's also the longest active streak in the NFL right now. Jake Matthews does not miss football games. Jake Matthews does not leave football games. He plays, and he's healthy, and he kicks ass. That's what he does. He's got a very, very high floor. He's consistently one of the top offensive tackles in the NFL every single year. Just really, really, really good. Michael Jarrell is not that. And I'm worried about the offensive tackle situation. Now, Storm Norton, and I'll just go ahead and jump into this injury update. We talked to Raheem about it today, and day-to-day, that's all he was going to say, and we're not going to know anything more until we talk to Raheem later this week. I'm worried if he can't play. I'm really worried, especially against this the 49ers defense it's banged up. It's injured right now, but it is still very talented and very good, right? This is a good, very good 49ers defense, and it's going to be another big test here for you on Sunday Night Football. You need to be good at the bookends, right? Your tackle situation, you're in your fourth and your fifth guy. And Storm Norton might be healthy if say, Jake Matthews isn't able to go. I don't expect that Storm's going to be ready to play, though. I would not be surprised if we see his 21-day window opened up here soon. It was not officially opened today, but we'll see. We'll see. And you also need to get Darnell Mooney back. We didn't get an update from him today. We'll get something from him later on this week, just in terms of what we see from him. Jack Nelson, maybe you can get a look from him. He's still on this active roster, right? So, he can potentially be an option there. But I'm worried if Jake Matthews isn't able to go. Just because, ultimately it's because you've had one guy start for you at left tackle for the last 15 years, basically. But it's a spot where I just don't think that Michael Jarrell is up for the challenge. I just don't. He gave up 4 pressures, a sack, and a quarterback hit in just 34 snaps. And you see this precipitous drop-off in the second half. And I think a lot of that had to do with not having Jake Matthews, and you lose a little bit of cohesion, and that continuity is extremely important. But we'll see. Moving into next week, again, that's something that we'll be fully on top of coming into this week, and injury reports and everything. It makes it very important to follow with that as well. But Darnell Mooney and guys like that as well. But yeah, no, I see a couple other folks are jumping in here into the comment section. Michael Ronquillo, Drake London had a chance to score on a touchdown, but he stepped out on the sideline. Yes, he did. And I love that he went for the end zone. Go do that. Push yourself. Go get 6, right? You have a chance. Get upfield, man. Get upfield. He'll definitely want that one back, and I guarantee you he was kicking himself there. Keep on rolling through. Trenton. Oh, you should talk about Jalen Walker. Oh, yeah. Good call. Good call there. Jalen Walker has been tremendous this season. We talked a lot about how effective he's been, specifically in run defense, and fits and everything else in that way. But he's been a stud, dude. He's been a stud in the way that it doesn't always show up in a box score, but it shows up whenever you come back and you watch the film. You watch him play ball. The dude's a killer, man. He's a badass. Oh, keep on rolling through. Trenton says, one of Penix's best attributes is that he's shown up every single clutch drive. A lot of losses aren't on him. No, absolutely not. In fact, you could go back through every game he's played, every situation where it's a gotta have it drive. Dude gets it. And that's something you don't teach. That's not something you coach, right? That's just something that's in a player, in a quarterback specifically. A guy who you could put the ball in his hands and you're like, we need 6 here. Go. We need at least 3 points. We need to get down the field. We need to do X, Y, and Z. He did it against the Commanders last year. He did it against the Carolina Panthers last year. He did it against the Buccaneers this year. The Vikings, against the Bills. He's done it several times. And it's one where it's a gotta have it drive. You need to get points. Okay. Give the ball to Michael Penix and he'll go get it done. And that's what he's shown, that he's able to do that. Come on, rolling through. That's a good question, Garrett. What's your answer? If we can't go to option 1 or 2, who do you go to number 8? I'm off that train. Casey Washington, we're talking about nightmare stuff then. Yeah. So talking specifically about what happens to this offense if you take away Drake London, if you take away Bijan Robinson. Now, you haven't really seen people take away Bijan Robinson yet. He's at 100 scrimmage yards in every single game that he's played. But you can absolutely take away Drake London. They did it in the second half, and in the passing attack, when you don't have Darnell Mooney, this offense, it lacks a killer gear. It lacks that higher gear that's really, really going to take off or kick the roof off of defenses. Casey Washington's a good player, and I think Casey Washington has shown that he's going to be the wide receiver 3 on this team moving forward. I think Ray McCloud's time with the Falcons is coming to an end. Just in general, this is the final year of his contract anyway. He was a healthy scratch and said it was a coach's decision. He didn't play. But Casey is a wide receiver 3. He's not a wide receiver 2. He's not a second option. Kyle Pitts, I think, showed that he's made clutch plays, right? A lot of his receptions are going for first downs. Penix is looking to him and getting him the football. He's not a volume type of guy necessarily. He's somebody who I think has found a really good role for himself. In the gotta have it moments when third down and you got to get the ball over the 6, and that's where you can go to Kyle Pitts. And he's been very good at finding space. He's actually been a lot better in run blocking and everything else. He's just a more complete football player this year, I would say, that at any point in his career. He's healthy. I think he's bought in, and he's in a contract year. So it's a guy who's really cooking right now. And I love what Kyle Pitts has been able to do, but he doesn't give you what a Darnell Mooney does. And I think it was a week ago, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. It was at least a bye-week conversation. So I guess it was last Tuesday. I had a really very serious conversation about whether or not you really need to make a deal to go get another wide receiver. Because if Darnell Mooney is not going to be healthy, you got to find somebody else. Like you need to get somebody in here. And I like Casey. I think Casey's a really good player, and I think he's a good dude too. But can he give you that explosivity outside? Can he be a trustworthy number 2 receiver? My answer to this point is no. I think he's a really good football player, and he's going to give you, the downfield blocking that he had against Bijan on that Bijan Robinson run and went 81 yards down the sideline. Casey Washington sprung that with his downfield blocking. He's a dirty player, not dirty. He's down in the dirt type of player. He's gritty. He's going to get after it, and he's going to do the little things really well. But sometimes you need some explosivity, and it needs to come from somebody other than Drake London, right? I don't know if that guy's on the roster right now, and I think it showed in the second half. Keep on rolling through. Trenton says, I don't think Norton is back. Storm Norton is not back. Storm Norton he has not had his 21-day window opened for the designation to return from injured reserve. It'll be another week or 2 before we see him in a game, at the very least. That's just my perception of it. Maybe he comes back and he's ready to go right away. But we saw that with Taquan Graham. He practiced all week and he was still a healthy scratch. Well, he wasn't activated. Let's put it that way. It wasn't a scratch. But my last big takeaway here is that the Falcons are actually showing that they are a bona fide contender. I alluded to it in when I was talking about the stacked NFC, right? About the NFC South and how it's playing at a really high level, and it's been pretty effective there. Falcons are showing that they are right there in the thick of it, right? Let's go through these standings. So it's like you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are sitting at 5-1. You're going to have your work cut out for you if you want to catch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at this point. That's a 5-1 football team, and they're playing some of their best ball. They are really stinking good, but every game they've played is really close, right? For the most part, outside of this game that they just played against San Francisco, every game has basically come down to the wire. They joked about that after the game finished up, that it was their first time hitting victory formation, because they haven't really had that opportunity. Because the game against the Falcons goes down to the wire. Falcons missed the kick, whatever, blah 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 blah. It's just interesting. But they're the class of the NFC right now, very clearly. Green Bay, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Seattle. That's a team that you're going to have to play here soon. Detroit, the Rams, Minnesota, that's a team you beat. Chicago. Those are your 10 teams right now. All 10 of them are 3-2 or better. There's not a lot of separation right now. It is a stacked division. And that, I mean, hell, you got the Carolina Panthers hanging around at number 11. The Commanders, if you still buy them, they're in the 12th right now. Dallas, they're in 13th. They're 2-3-1. Arizona, that's a team who I mean, can absolutely make a run at the postseason this year. I'd say there are 14 legitimate teams right now who think that they have aspirations to make the postseason. 14 teams in the NFC. The only teams who I feel like are in no way able to make a run at the postseason, the Giants, who are actually playing some really good football right now with Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart, and that offense is frisky and fun, but I don't know if they legitimately believe they can make a run at the postseason. I don't think that that's up in the cards for them, if you will. But they're going to be fun this year. And then the Saints. I mean, the Saints they're 1-5. They're not going to the postseason. It's just not. They know that. Everybody knows that. But everybody else, I mean, the Cardinals are sitting there at 2-4. They think that they're a team who can make a run at the postseason. They're banged up as hell. Dallas, Washington, Carolina. Where do the Falcons fall in this, though? Falcons are sitting at 8 right now. They're right there on the edge. But you're getting into the softer belly of your schedule. I think that the Falcons, now Sunday night is going to be huge. You go get a win on Sunday Night Football. You have a second consecutive win on prime time. I mean, Falcons are showing that they can go get it. Falcons really could. Interesting point though. Their point differential is literally 0. That shows just how bad they were in that Carolina Panthers game. They lost 30 points, 30-0. And your point differential is still exactly 0. You've scored 100 points and you've let up 100 points. Shows how good you've been in every other game too, right? That's just how good you've been every other game. But I mean, this is a stacked NFC. This is an absolutely stacked NFC, and I think that the Falcons have an opportunity to really make a run at this. And once you go through this schedule, you got to keep pace with those Buccaneers, man. But I think they can do it. I absolutely think they can do it. Let's keep on. I see a bunch more folks have jumped in. Kiara Possible. I see what you got here. I don't think we can catch Tampa, but I see us getting a secure wildcard spot. Not a secure wildcard spot, but I think they will end up being a wildcard team. I think they can absolutely do that. I think it's in the cards, certainly. Got to keep playing like this, though. If they play like that team did on Monday night, if that's who this team is in reality, they're going to be a hard team to beat for anybody. Starting next week, first real must-win for Penix. Trenton, every game's kind of a must-win. It's the NFL. I'm not a fan of must-win games. Obviously, and once you get down to the brass tacks at the end of the season, I mean, you could say that those are must-wins too. But every game counts the same. It's all the same for the most part. So if the Falcons can go get this one, though, all of a sudden you're playing a team who you're likely going to be competing with for a wild card spot. It's them or the Rams, right? Out of the NFC West, or shoot, you can talk about the Cardinals. You got a lot of good teams. Seahawks. You play a lot of these teams later in the season, and it's going to be a big opportunity. So every game, of course, matters a lot for the Falcons. And hey, man, stack wins. That's what you have to do in the NFL. Stack wins. Can't look too far down the road. Just got to focus on what's coming up next. Kiara comes through and says we have to beat every NFC North and West teams to secure a wild card spot. Maybe not everyone. Just win as many games as you can, and we'll worry about everything looking backwards. But yes, no, Trent, I see what you're saying. It's must win, bank the tiebreaker. You're exactly right. I mean, the tiebreaker is going to be a big deal. It's a big deal right now that you took down the Minnesota Vikings, the team that you are now in front of in the standings. But when I say what I said, as of right now, it's just you need to be focused on stacking wins. Every game is critical. You win that next game, and then win the next game, and then win the next game. And then by the time you turn around and look back, that's when you start to have a real idea of what this team could be. All right, folks, but I appreciate all of you guys jumping in here. We had tons of people jump in. Thanks for all the great questions. Remember, Scott and Nick, they're going live 8:30 on Wednesday, so they'll be back in with you then. But if you're new here, thank you. Thank you for jumping in, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on Spotify, listening after the fact. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow along. If there's real content that you want to see, drop it in the comments, and I'll try to jump into that as best I can. Always like to come back over through the comments and kind of check out what you guys have to say, and hopefully we're bringing some good content to you. Thursday, 6 o'clock, that's our next pod. We'll be talking about the upcoming week with the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football. I love primetime games. It's a lot of fun. I know Drake London does too. He seems to put his best performances out there as well. But make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll be back here on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Set your calendars. Give me a follow at GChapATL to check out all the good content that we have coming out, or you can just Google Falcons on SI, and you can check everything else out there too. My name is Garrett Chapman for Falcons on SI on the Falcons Podcast. I'll see you all very soon. Till next time, go Falcons.